welcome to Conversations from the World of Allergy, a podcast produced by the American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology. I'm your host, Rebecca Sapp. Today's edition of our Conversations from the World of Allergy podcast is focused on Academy members, as we have the privilege of hearing from both candidates for the position of Secretary-Treasurer. The person elected for Secretary-Treasurer will eventually ascend to become the AAAAI President, so we wanted to help you get to know them better and hear their thoughts on our specialty and their goals for the AAAAI as an organization. This is a unique format compared to our other episodes, as I interviewed each of our candidates who didn't know who they were running against at the time of the recording. This was all done anonymously. In the interest of fairness, they were each asked the exact same questions in the exact same order. Our two candidates are Dr. Stuart Abramson and Dr. Mariana Castells. I hope this is helpful for you to get to know these two extraordinary members of the allergy immunology community and help in your decision in choosing our next AAAAI leader. Can we start by having you tell us about your background? Feel free to discuss where you grew up, why you decided to become an allergist immunologist, and take us through where you are in your career at this time.
Thank you very much, Rebecca, for having me on this podcast for our American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology community. I was born in a small town in western Pennsylvania called Uniontown, but grew up most of my childhood outside of Washington, D.C. in Silver Spring, Maryland. I became interested in allergy and being a physician when I was in elementary school there, and having allergies myself was under the care of a well-known allergist named Gilbert Barkin, who later became president of the American College of Allergy and Immunology. I received allergy shots and became adequately desensitized, which was very good for me. My college years were at the Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, only 35 miles up the road, far enough away from home, but convenient enough to go back and visit my family periodically. I had worked on science projects at the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda and at the university, and with a Howard Hughes investigator with whom I co-authored my first scientific paper, which involved injecting rats and mice in their tails with dextran-modified enzymes to extend their half-life and potentially treat diseases. Although interesting, I did decide after that I didn't want to work with rodents, but with people. So I then moved on to Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas, which was my first choice. But my friends said, "Why did you want to go to Texas?" Well, I had a cousin who was practicing internal medicine in Houston, and he still is at age 87, God bless him, who told me I should take a look at Baylor, and I truly loved the people, the program, and the atmosphere, the facilities. And I received a scholarship for the new NIH Medical Scientist Training Program, year one at Baylor, and actually became the first graduate of this program, which has trained over 325 physician scientists since then. My choice of a PhD mentor came when I was in the basic science program taking immunology, and I was truly enthralled by the lectures and particularly the deep, powerful voice of one Dr. Robert Rich, whose teaching skill and knowledge was really unsurpassed in my basic science experience and beyond, and he became an outstanding leader in immunology. Then I decided to stay on for residency in pediatrics, led by another giant in his field, Dr. Ralph Feigen, infectious disease specialist, followed by a 3-year allergy immunology fellowship at NIH with Dr. Michael Calliner and further laboratory experience with Drs. John Gallen and Harry Malik in neutrophil biology. I was recruited to return back to Baylor College of Medicine in 1990 by Dr. William Shearer, a member of my PhD dissertation committee and well-known pediatric allergist immunologist at that time and beyond, and served on the faculty for 21 years, involving the teaching of 79 allergy immunology fellows, as well as clinical care and research, mainly in the clinical arenas of asthma and immunodeficiency, with a variety of grant funding, including an NIH R18 Principal Investigator Award. But that all being said, patient care has always been near and dear to my heart, and I served as the head of the Ben Taub Allergy Immunology Pediatric Clinic, the main hospital district clinic for poor and needy patients, for 21 years in Houston, until it was closed by a new pediatric department chairman because of the increased cost to continue its operation along with other pediatric specialty clinics there. So in a change of venue for the past 14 years, I have served as Director of Allergy Immunology Services at Shannon Clinic and Medical Center in San Angelo, Texas, a city of about 100,000 in west central Texas, and have a busy full-time practice with a large multi-specialty clinic and an excellent physician partner. I was recruited in 2011 by Dr. Ernie Charlesworth, who I'd known for a number of years as he was double boarded in allergy immunology and dermatology and was looking to first retire from allergy immunology. I've been very happy with this transition from full-time academia to full-time practice and have continued with teaching and lifelong learning as touch points in my career. I currently have an appointment as a clinical professor for Texas A&M University Naresh K. Vashisht College of Medicine, based on our clinical affiliation and teaching in which I am participating.
Can we start by having you tell us about your background? And feel free to discuss where you grew up, why you decided to become an allergist immunologist, and take us through where you are in your career at this time.
Thank you for interviewing me. It is a pleasure to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Mariana Castells. I'm originally from a beautiful city in Spain, Barcelona, and I came to the United States in 1984. And in fact, the reason I came was the allergy to potatoes. So I was actually preparing. I was already an allergist in Spain. In fact, I was practicing in La Paz Hospital in Madrid. And Elliot Ellis, who was the president of the academy at the time, came for a visit. And I was studying a little girl who had allergy to ingesting potatoes, to inhaling potato pollen, and also other products. And he actually encouraged me to send an abstract to the academy meeting. And I sent an abstract, was accepted. I came to New York for that, and the rest is history. I came here, became an allergist. Initially, did my PhD with Larry Schwartz in Virginia, and then I'm an internist, did my internal medicine residency in Kansas City, and then came to Boston, attracted by Frank Austin, who became my mentor. And in Boston, I was practicing, or I have continuously practiced at the Brigham and Women's Hospital. I have been the training program director for 25 years now, no longer leave it to the young generations. And I am a professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School. I lead two big centers, a center on drug allergy and desensitization, and a center for mast cell disorders and mastocytosis.
Let's say for whatever reason you were no longer able to be a physician. What other career path would you choose?
If I were not able to be a physician delivering patient care, I would like to be involved with a career that would be able to have a positive impact on the quality and quantity of patient care delivered and addressing specific health issues. To me, that would likely include a position as a leader and consultant for some area of government, preferably state or federal, or with a large foundation that is well funded, for example, the Gates Foundation. This could lead to substantial impact based on smart allocation of financial resources and organizational resources with personnel and community tie-ins in order to reach those most in need to promote better quality of life. To address healthcare policy concerns in our country, I would start by delineating how our environmental exposures, our food, water, and other drink, lifestyle, behavior, and education can affect our health and how to improve our health. In particular, I've been involved with environmental health issues for a large part of my career, including work with the American Lung Association, serving on a task force appointed by Houston's Mayor White around 2006, where we wrote a white paper on identifying priority health risks from air pollution in Houston, and co-authoring several other publications in this area, and serving as program director for several CME programs, and most recently on the steering committee for the Medical Society Consortium on Climate and Health. With this background, I feel well prepared to do this type of work and would actually welcome that opportunity. So I think more outreach as well to children in schools would also be an area of focus for the pediatrician in me were I no longer able to serve as one.
Let's say for whatever reason you were no longer able to be a physician. What other career path would you choose?
Oh, I already have other passions. I have to say that an initial passion for me was anthropology. I love the origins of men, and I have been following, all close studies of where we came, how we did it. And in fact, this summer, I dragged my family, my husband, and my children to the caves in Altamira in the north of Spain, which are very old paintings from 32,000 years ago. And the paintings, which are mesmerizing, I invite you to actually Google that and go there, potentially were made by women, so who were staying in the caves while men were hunting. So this is, my second passion, and also I'm a musician. I used to play the piano during COVID. I came back to playing the piano seriously because to keep my sanity inside and being able to deliver care, on Zoom, which was totally new for me. So those are my two passions, and the day I retire, probably will go back to them.
When did you serve on the board of directors for the Quad AI, and what was the most rewarding part of that experience?
I served on the board of directors from 2020 to 2024, starting at the beginning of the onset of the COVID pandemic. This was quite challenging, but Zoom calls came to the rescue. The most rewarding part of this experience was serving with and getting to know individuals from across the country with diverse expertise and backgrounds, but all working together for the benefit of our specialty. Particularly rewarding work for me, including serving as chair of the Practice and Policy Division for the Board of Directors for 2 years, and working on several presidential initiative task forces, which included, for Dr. Mazayam, serving on the Community Practitioner Leadership Task Force, for Dr. Khan, serving as chair of the Prior Authorization Task Force, and for Dr. Bernstein, serving on Volunteerism Addressing Environmental Disparities and Allergy Task Force.
When did you serve on the board of directors for the Quad AI, and what was the most rewarding part of that experience?
Yeah, I served on the board of directors a few years ago, and that was a very rewarding experience to me to meet the people who shape our specialty. I met there several of the presidents, Linda Cox, Rob Lemansky, Dr. Lee, and I really took it very seriously. You know, Having very diverse population of leaders there, from practitioners to researchers, and we all have a common goal, which was, to advance our specialty, to make it visible. One of the things that I really enjoy most were our discussions, but also the fact that we went to Washington to actually explain our specialty and to do lobbying for our senators. I was able to do lobbying for Senator Markey and Senator Warren when I was there about the importance of, drug allergy, but also food allergy and allergy in general, and that patients who think they have allergies should seek, specialized care, really enhancing the visibility of our specialty. So I relish, the time that I spent with those fabulous leaders and the time that I was able to, like, in fact, myself, be able to lobby for our specialty.
What do you think our specialty does really well, and where can we collectively improve?
I think our specialty, via the Academy, does an excellent job with the Office of Education, providing broad-ranging programs at the annual meeting and supporting many educational efforts via regional, state, and local allergy societies. I worked firsthand with Steve Folstein for about 15 years before he left the Quad AI on what was originally called the CME Committee and more recently called the Continuing Certification and Professional Education Committee, on which I still serve. I think that we can collectively improve our specialty by better outreach to legislators, administrators, and other physician specialists, including primary care, regarding what our specialty can uniquely and better offer patients in terms of diagnosis, education, and treatment. This includes areas of cost effectiveness as well as quality.
So we all love this specialty, but what do you think our specialty does really well, and where can we collectively improve?
Well, I think we do well many things. We do well asthma, we do well allergic rhinitis, food allergies, immunodeficiencies. One of the things that I think we don't do as well is outreach. making sure that, for example, underserved populations such as the elderly, the very young kids, that we could actually improve. And also, addressing this, notion that 20% of our population is allergic to, for example, penicillin. This is like a big thing. And we continue to see, I practice in a hospital, the Brigham and Women's Hospital. We continue to see patients who go for surgeries, for procedures, who have babies. And then there is a big red flag that says penicillin allergy. And that flag is probably inaccurate. So there are, many things that we do actually extremely well, taking care of severe asthma patients, food allergies, complex food allergies. But there are things that we need to do better, which is reach out to populations that really need us, in all senses, not just, the drug allergy or the mast cell activation disorders, but also, food allergies in the elderly. How do we address, very young children, potentially avoiding that they become allergic? So I think there are many options in our specialty that we probably should develop, in a big sense. We are a small specialty, but very, very high reach. We reach all the other specialties because we don't treat an organ, we treat the immune system, and the immune system is everywhere.
So I'd like you to dust off your crystal ball and make some bold predictions about the future. We won't hold you to these. But what do you think is the greatest threat to our specialty of allergy immunology? And can we overcome that in the next 10 years? And if so, how?
I think one of the greatest threats over the next 10 years would include lack of adequate funding for research, training programs, and delivery of care to those most in need of our specialty services. This includes our payment for services rendered relative to other specialties, as well as threats to cause changes in our practice and scope of practice allocation for services in our specialty. This will require strong and persistent advocacy, which involves making connections with champions in the legislature and other government positions, as well as community leaders and our patients, who often have important stories, to get the voice of our specialty heard and acted on in the best manner. This will be hard work, but I think we can do it, and I'm willing to contribute continued efforts in these areas.
So I'd like you to dust off your crystal ball and make some predictions about the future. We, of course, won't hold you to them. What is the greatest threat to our specialty of allergy immunology, and can we overcome it over the next 10 years? And if so, how?
Yes, our specialty, like I was mentioning, is not made of an organ, is made, is everywhere. So if we think about, for example, asthma, we could say, okay, the pulmonologist can take that from us. Or if we think about atopic dermatitis or hives, the dermatologist can take that from us. And if we think about food allergy, the gastroenterologist could take. So there is a lot of possibilities that the other specialties can actually try to have a dent. But we are the ones who, for one thing, understand the mechanisms of those diseases. And we are the ones doing research. And I think that, for me, it makes, incredible sense that we are the ones who need to provide the other specialties a better understanding of what they are doing and why do we need to use monoclonals and targeted therapies for asthma, for eosinophilic disorders, for clonal mast cell disorders. So I do think that within 10 years we also will incorporate AI. AI is here to stay. We will be incorporating that in our daily living. Patients will come to us with a list of things, or a robot telling us their blood pressures, their everything, their medications. So we need to understand how to incorporate AI into our specialty. That will be critical, and then also how to incorporate the things that we do well in all the other specialty, making ourselves available. So I see a big future for allergy. I don't think we're shrinking. I think actually we are expanding, and we should get more fellows, to join us in the future.
You are running for the position of Secretary Treasurer of the Quad AI, which ascends to the role of President of our organization. Why do you want to serve in these roles?
One of the main ideas guiding me on a daily basis is, how can I make the world a better place? I would like to serve on the board of directors at this time as Secretary Treasurer, leading up to President, because I feel that I have a lot to offer with my diverse background, experience, and enthusiasm for our specialty. I am confident that I can make a difference for the betterment of our Academy through leadership in building engagement and consensus with Board of Director members and AAAAI Fellows and members at large. Several years ago, I participated in a Board of Directors exercise that labeled us with a color, coded to a phenotype regarding our leadership characteristics. Mine was blue, which meant harmony, and that I was a good consensus builder based on being a good listener and engaging people in meetings. Those who know me have mentioned this to be true in my conduct of meetings, something I am proud to continually strive for in work groups. I have a strong background in educational activities, a few of which include past annual meeting program committee chair from 2012 to 2014, a member of the ACCME Accreditation Review Committee for 6 years, National Asthma Educator Certification Board Director for 6 years, and member of the Board of Directors for the American Board of Allergy and Immunology from 2010 to 2015. I also have extensive research background as well as clinical care experience that is somewhat unique when combined with education and teaching. I think that this has given me a fuller appreciation of needs and actions necessary for the betterment of our specialty. Finally, the AAAAI has been my professional home for 36 years. I have not missed an annual meeting over this time, and it has been often the highlight of the year for me with educational, operational, and very enjoyable and meaningful social activities.
You're running for the position of Secretary Treasurer of the AAAAI, which ascends to the role of President of our organization. Why do you want to serve in these roles?
Well, I already serve at the board of directors, and like I said, I was, pleased, mesmerized. I create friendships forever for people who were there with me because we were all united by the same, love for the specialty, but also the desire to push the specialty forward to make sure that allergy is visible, in all the internal medicine and pediatric specialties, that we are there for surgeons, for OBGYNs, for everybody, and that we have, a role that is also reimbursed, that we are compensated, to the extent that we provide service. So I think that I want to try to make sure that those, agendas are very visible, and we are actually a very diverse, society and a very diverse population of allergies. There is the researcher that is doing bench research. There is the clinician that is doing clinical research. There is the translational researcher. There is the clinician who is only, I'm saying, but who is doing, wonderful work as a clinician, as in a private practice. So we have, to put together all our resources available to all this diverse population. Protocols for drug allergy delay should be available to everybody, but also, research that's fundamental to the advancement of our understanding should be actually understood by all, our contingencies. So, for example, for me, basic research in our specialty is such like an important thing to it. My mentor was Frank Austin, so his understanding of lipid mediators of mast cell made possible that we now have montelukast and all the leukotriene blockers. So, we need to continue to promote research, but also we need to continue to promote people who are treating just bread and butter need, like I said, older population, very young kids, adolescents that are doing that well. So I would like to be the leader for all those people. Having been myself, I am a basic researcher, I'm a translational clinician, and I'm also, I have a very active clinical practice.
Each AAAAI president brings their own interest to the role, which manifest as their presidential initiatives. Have you thought about what your initiatives might be if given the opportunity?
I have thought about the opportunity for presidential initiatives, and advocacy has certainly been an important part of my AAAAI activities, in particular over the past 5 years, where I have served as vice chair, and now past chair of the advocacy committee, as well as serving as president for my county medical society. In clinical care, education, and research, advocacy is an area where we can make an impact at a variety of levels. local, county, state, and national. All of these levels of advocacy in our specialty can make a difference for our patients, and I would like to address this in my initiative. Such efforts can affect how well we can deliver care, educate new specialists, and prepare for the future by bringing in new clinicians, educators, researchers, and combinations thereof to enable advances in our field via new research discoveries and their clinical implementation. I would like to see the AAAAI lead the way in training members for advocacy and mobilize our membership via engagement with lay groups, communities, or with academia based on a member's individual interests. And this is important to focus on individual interests to address some of the most pressing issues in the three areas of our specialty that include clinical care, education, and research. This seems like a very broad initiative, but the focus first is to train members in advocacy methods, and then to subsequently home in on some of the specific issues facing our field at the time. Another area I would like to see addressed is augmenting the historical record for our society. We used to have a historian position in the leadership, and I think this would be helpful again, so we can recognize where we have been in various areas through oral and written histories, videos and photos, and can engage members to provide these accounts.
Each AAAAI president brings their own interests to this role, which manifest as their presidential initiatives. Have you thought about what your initiatives might be if given the opportunity?
Yeah, I think I have been kind of already telling you a little bit about that. I would like really to promote, the drug allergy agenda, and allergy being the one who actually leads the field, not the pharmacist or not the others who, in Google you can look at Google drug desensitization, and you can get a protocol, but then who's applying that protocol makes a lot of mistakes. So we have to own those fields, and also mast cell activation disorders, making a standardized way to see those patients that are so complex, and really nobody wants to see those patients because they kind of get an enormous amount of our time, but at the end of the day it's because we don't know enough. And providing access to standardized way to address their problems, I think will also be in my agenda. And then promoting again the access to allergy through maybe a Zoom, like virtual. I would like to promote that very much. So for again, making the access possible for older people, for very young moms who work, and maybe they have like 15 minutes in the morning to say, hey, I think my kid has an allergy. Can you see me? So those would be tremendous improvements in the access of the general population to allergy, and our visibility increase. So see, and also, for example, I just wrote a chapter for the Harrison on desensitizations, and now we cannot say that medical students or residents will not see that, so they actually can read about it. So the education of the rest of the specialties on the power and in the importance of allergy is also something that I want to promote.
I'd like to offer you the opportunity to convey anything else to our audience at this time. In the interest of fairness to both candidates, please limit your response to 1 minute or less.
I am very grateful to the nominating committee for considering me as a candidate for Secretary Treasurer this year. The Academy is a leading voice not only in our country but around the world to promote education, advance clinical treatments, and provide advocacy for clinical practice to thrive and meet the needs of our patients and members. I pledge my strongest commitment, should I be elected, to efforts to help engage legislators, administrators, academicians, and full-time practicing allergists and immunologists in working for the success of our mission, which I have paraphrased in the comments I just made. I would also like to acknowledge my family for their love and support in my career, particularly during the long hours of work that every physician sometimes needs to devote outside the family. Thank you very much for this opportunity on the podcast.
I'd like to offer you the opportunity to convey anything else to our audience at this time. In the interest of fairness to both candidates, we're going to limit responses to 1 minute or less.
Yes, I would say that, the role of the allergies in medicine is increasing. There are new medications that are wonderful, but we have to pay a price for that. There are more people with muscle activation disorders. We have to understand better. But I think that collectively, as allergies, we can provide a tremendous increase in the quality of life of, the general population. So I am for the educational endeavor, the increased access, the use of video and all the new resources, and even AI to the advantage of our specialties. So I am for the new brave world as we speak, as an allergist and immunologist.
We hope you enjoyed listening to today's episode. Please visit quadai.org for show notes and any pertinent links from today's conversation. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate and subscribe through wherever you download your podcasts. As a reminder, this podcast is not intended to provide any individual medical advice to our listeners. We do hope our conversations provide evidence-based information. Any questions pertaining to one's own health should always be discussed with their personal physician. The Find an Allergist search engine on the Academy website is a useful tool to locate a listing of board-certified allergists in your area. Use of this audio program is subject to the American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology Terms of Use Agreement, which you can find at their website. Thank you again for listening.